running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning and happy Monday, Quasar Markets Live. How's everyone doing today? Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl, the ads, the halftime show. I know I did not enjoy the game as a Patriots fan. Congrats to Seattle, man. What a defense. So what's going on in the markets today as we wake up? It looks like we are trying to go slightly green here. All three of the major indices did start the pre-market lower than we closed on Friday, but all of them seem to be trying to move a little bit closer to even here as we start our day. We saw the monster rebound on Friday. The Dow Jones broke 50,000 for the first time. And the huge bounce by the NASDAQ and the SPY, both almost 2%, NASDAQ a little bit more than 2%. So a little bit of breathing room this morning would not be surprising at all. All eyes will be on the delayed jobs report Wednesday and CPI data on Friday. Macro can make or break this bounce for sure. And I think everybody will have eyes on the tech and software industry as they try to stabilize. We'll see what IGF can do here, but we do know that, software has been under huge pressure, holding up a little bit. We see a little bit of a bounce back, but again, this is down 21% for the month. And we've just continued to see that. AI CapEx, again, will still be in there driving some of the rotation we've seen. Overseas, Japan rips on the PM's landside victory. The Nikkei broke to new records, but then it retraced. And we've got some pre-market movers, both HIMS, KD, MU, and a few others there. So we'll get to those in a second. What do we have going on so far today? VIX is at about 18.3. So again, 18 is about neutral. So we're sitting fairly neutral. We're now down about 8% from highs last week that we saw when it broached 23. So we do see us pulling back a little bit from that volatility, geopolitics. Sort of a two-way thing right now. You've got Cuba, it seems like all of a sudden all over the news, and how our embargoes of any oil or gas getting there is really hurting them. And then, of course, Iran, as you know, we've mobilized a lot of naval assets and air assets there in the Middle East. Hopefully negotiations can get us, in the right spot there. That's what we'll be looking at. Gold back above 5,000 here. So trying to make a nice little rebound here. Silver up even more, 2.5%, but it isn't too far. It's still back down at 80, doing its best again. Crypto impersonation did get back across the 50-day simple moving average here and back into the bottom of the linear regression. But this one's looking a little weak this morning so far also. And gas, oil down slightly, but pretty flat over the weekend. We do see nat gas continuing to move to the downside, threatening to break below the $4 mark. So again, that is a little bit of a relief there too. Crypto, Bitcoin holding up right around 69,000. It has cooled off a little, hasn't been able to break above that like 71,500 area and hold. And while its structure looks pretty good, we'll mention that Ethereum and the alts, not so much. They still have a little too much over leverage in them. we've done a pretty good job of pulling the leverage out of the Bitcoin perpetual futures, but not as much out of Ethereum and the alts. So they're still under some pressure. Overnight, it's been a tale of two stories there. The Nikkei jumped all the way up to 62.16, I guess, 62,596. And then it has settled back down actually as a laggard, down 18 basis points here at 56.32. They jumped up, as I mentioned, the prime minister's landslide victory, expectations for fiscal expansion, deregulation, and stimulus. The yen and Japanese yields matter here because they feed into global carry trade flows. If that plumbing gets disorderly, U.S. risk assets can feel it. So Japan is definitely one we'll hit Steve up and see what he thinks there. But made the big move and retraced. China's been holding its gains up about 1.76%. So a nice 2 or 3-day rally here. Still down about 26 basis points over a week, but up about 5% year to date. And the European stock market, which we know has set some new highs recently, up about 12 basis points this morning, having a little bit of strength. Novo Nordisk, a decent part of that, and we'll get into those stories here in a second. What else was I looking at? Those are the big ones. Let's look at the sectors of the S&P so far, and we do see more green than red. Energy slightly up at about 8 basis points. As I said, in the energy sector, oil's holding up pretty well. There, utilities slightly up. Technology hitting a little bit of a headwind. Some of that software, some of that's earnings today that we'll talk about. Material sector and consumer staples slightly in the green. Consumer discretionary and industrials slightly red so far. Communications flat. Healthcare is up slightly, and Eli Lilly leading part of that, along with that Novo Nordisk, as we talked about, and financials and real estate slightly in the red also. So definitely a mixed bag, not a true sector rotation right now that we're seeing. But the starts of it again look like maybe the Dow starts to pick up some steam here today, more so than the other sectors so far. But we got to see how that opens up and goes from there. Looking at some of this morning's biggest movers, interestingly enough, one that was an earnings mover here earlier is On Semiconductor. They are going to report their earnings here going in. We're up slightly going into it now, down about 0.5 basis points. Let's get to the ones that have already reported, or at least one of them that has. We do have Apollo. They reported their earnings here. They did have an earnings beat. So that does have them moving to the upside so far. I've got some data if I can figure out where I put it. There it is. What did their earnings come in at? It said adjusted earnings for the fourth quarter, $2.47 a share, beating estimates of about $2.04. Their fee-related revenue increased 30% from last year, rose to $1.24 billion, and deal origination activity reached a record $97 billion. And Apollo up about 2.23. They were up around 138, almost 139, jumping up, at the time even more. Investors' concerns about AI reducing the need for the software solutions had been weighing on them. They are a major investor VC into a lot of those software companies and also providing them private credit. So there had been some issues there that we're worried about, but this earnings beat at least seems to have that going. Some sympathy plays you could look for in that sector would be BLK, which is BlackRock. You can see not up slightly here. You can take a look at KKR. Up slightly also, and maybe another one would be Blackstone. They're actually down today. So, but a mixed bag. That's a sector you could definitely keep an eye on today. Good morning, traders. Thank you so much for joining us here on Quasar Markets Live. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit the follow button, all those good things. That would really help us out. What else are we looking at this morning? Coming into earnings today, we're going to have Cleveland Cliffs, the steel company. It looks like their earnings did come out now, so let's pull up that data. They did meet the top. They did miss on the top line. Revenue came in at 4.31 billion. Their EPS was a beat, though, up about 30% from estimates here. Again, this is one of the larger steel companies out there. Down about 3.67 on their earnings so far. Some of the early morning winners so far: QuantumScape Corporation on the that side up over 12, almost 13% here. They go into earnings later this week. They did appoint a new member to their board, but that was really all I saw news-wise here. But this is pumping in advance of their earnings. Kroger KR, one of the biggest grocery chains out there, up about 6% here this morning. Folks seem to be happy with the fact that they're going to appoint Greg Foran as CEO effective immediately. He was a former CEO over at Walmart, and we've known how good Walmart's stock has performed over the last several months. So could be a good sign for Kroger here, and they're up about 6%. On the other side of that, biggest laggard, I believe, we'll see if that's still the case. No, not the biggest still. But KD staying in the K's and not Kevin Durant. Down about 55% here this morning, trading at $10. This is after its chief financial officer departed amid an accounting review. The company's audit committee is reviewing cash management practices, disclosures, and internal controls over their financial reporting. They do expect to delay their quarterly filing report. So the IT infrastructure provider said that David Weichner had departed from his position, and also that their general counsel, Edward Seibold, had also left immediately. And again, this is after voluntary document requests from the Division of Enforcement of the SEC. So not a good look here. You can see they are down 54.7% on that news. Definitely getting drilled here. So one to keep an eye on as we get into the morning for sure. Other laggage here, and I mentioned software still under a little bit of stress. You can see that Monday.com is down 18% after their earnings came in. They did report fourth quarter adjusted earnings of $1.04 a share and revenue of about $334 million, exceeding estimates. But after a disappointing 2026 operating income forecast of 165 to 175 million, the stock did plummet down almost 20%. This is a work management software provider. So again, more broader sell-off across the software segment for sure. Things on the docket we got to keep an eye on this week. Earnings will be coming up today. We've already seen, like I said, Cleveland Cliffs. We've seen Apollo, Monday.com, Kyndryl delaying theirs. After the close today, we have On Semiconductor coming out, Open Door, Those are the big ones today. Tomorrow we have Coke going into it, down about 27 basis points here so far, but we know the run it has been on over the last several weeks since bottoming out January 8th. That stock's moved from 67 to 79. CVS, and we know that the healthcare sector was battered by the Medicare and Medicaid decision. So that has been a beaten up one. We'll want to see what their earnings have to say tomorrow. Also have Spotify, Datadog, and Fiserv to watch on the tech side first thing in the morning. We do have AstraZeneca on the health, side, biomedical health side. Marriott will give us a read on consumer discretionary. After close tomorrow, we have Robinhood, Astera Labs, Lyft, and Ford. On Wednesday, we're going to see Shopify, Unity, and Humana before the bell, McDonald's, T-Mobile. So big day on Wednesday. After the bell, we get AppLovin, Albemarle, Cisco, QuantumScape, the one that's up the most this morning, and some others. And then Thursday, before, you have my favorite companies, Birkenstock and Crocs on the shoe side, PG&E on the energy side, and then after close, Coinbase, Pinterest, and Arista all on deck then. And then Friday before the open, not to be outdone, you also have Moderna and Wendy's. So big earnings week again. When it comes to economic releases, we'll be watching. As we said, the big ones will be non-farm payrolls coming out on Wednesday, and on Friday, the consumer price index CPI data. We do today at 11 have the consumer inflation expectations. Tomorrow, retail sales. Those are the big ones we have. There are actually some IPOs. Today, we're supposed to have Liftoff Mobile, the ad tech software company looking to go public. And then later this week, we have Fractal Analytics, the AI company, CLRS, Clear Street Group, the FinTech Prime Brokerage, and Aggie Bank, AGBK, also looking to go digital banking later this week. So a few IPOs here. We haven't had that many lately, but we get back into them a little bit here over the coming days. Taking a look at the breadth of the market so far, we do see advanced declines pretty mellow here. It is 687 to the upside, but not a huge amount of movement there. And good morning there, Zora. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Tick pretty muted right now. Again, looking at the three indices, the NASDAQ's the biggest laggard. The Dow is leading the way slightly at down 12 basis points. S&P down 13, and the NASDAQ down about 22. Other things or other movers so far this morning, we got to talk about, the Hims and Hers, one of the companies I've never been a fan of personally. They are down about 21% here after the online pharmacy vows to discontinue the compounded weight loss pill that was very similar or a compounded version of Novo Nordisk's popular Wegovy. This is after increased scrutiny from federal regulators. That has Hims down about 22%, and it has Novo Nordisk up about 5% and almost 10% on Friday. So good to see that that's the case, and that has them moving further there. Other news that's hitting the market this morning and moving the numbers: Micron down, MU down about 3.34% after Samsung stated that they would start large-scale production of the next generation of high-bandwidth memory chips as soon as this month. This would be a challenge for Micron, which makes HBM chips that are a crucial part of AI processors. So we'll see if that can recover today, but Micron under pressure from that. Other things moving this morning, ST Microelectronics, STM, Sierra Tango. I don't know what M is. Sierra Tango Mike is up about 8% after the European semiconductor manufacturer said it had struck a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar deal with Amazon's cloud computing arm. AWS will also have the option to buy a stake of about 2.7% of them. Looking at the mega caps before the bell here, NVIDIA is down about 70 basis points. It had a big, nice up day, up almost 8% on Friday. So a little bit of a pullback. Investor expectations are high for their earnings report that's going to be coming out on the 25th. So NVIDIA will start to see what they do headed into their earnings. Microsoft bouncing back after having a rough several days here, capping out before earnings as high as 483, pulled back all the way to 392 here, back above the 400 handle, trying to get a little bit of recovery, but still definitely, getting hit on the software side from them. Google's down about 40 basis points, lost 2.5% on Friday. Also, again, they had earnings last week. Everything was about the CapEx expenditures, 185 billion. It has people very spooked there. Apple, which was the Mag 7 leader last week, the one that really took off to the upside, is pulling back slightly in the pre-market also. Not a lot of news I saw there, except that they're about to release their new version of the iOS. So we'll see what they've got there. It's going to have their new AI-driven Siri, whatever that means. So we'll see what BigBeat has to say about that. We know he has not been a huge fan of their intelligence, but has been a fan of their new moves. Amazon is trading down slightly. It was off about 5.5%. It was down over 10% after its earnings miss on Friday or late Thursday. We'll see if they can continue to get a recovery here today or what that brings. Meta, who was all over Super Bowl ads yesterday, is up slightly here this morning, but again, since earnings, they've continued to see lower lows and lower highs for each of the last several sessions. See if they can turn that around today, and if that, spend on advertising pays off. Tesla down about 13 basis points here so far before the open. Has bounced back over the last 2 days, getting back. It got below 300, got down towards that 388 level before bouncing back on Thursday, but recovering nicely now. Netflix at 82.43 was up slightly on Friday, up here today. Haven't heard much more or anything really over the last few days about the whole Warner Brothers Discovery. So that narrative slowing down, or not narrative slowing down, but not much talks there between anything that I've heard there. So not much movement on the stock price either. We are about 5 minutes from the top of the hour. And again, we see all three indices getting ready to open up in the red. I mentioned Micron. Samsung did come out and they are up about 4.92% this morning after report that it will start large-scale production, as I mentioned, of high-bandwidth memory chips. Lays down a challenge to the American rival Micron. Samsung will begin with their HBM4 chips later this month for use in artificial intelligence processors made by NVIDIA. So this could give a little bit of an upward move to NVIDIA today. So watch for a little sympathy play there. And then let's see what the other movers and shakers are today. A lot of the laggards, MicroStrategy down about 5%, but that's after being up 26% on Friday. Same thing with a lot of the crypto mining companies. They are attempting to bounce back or attempting to stabilize after pulling back after the strong Friday run up by so many of them. Not surprising to see a little bit of a pullback from there. Software company or AppLovin, which gets a lot of its revenue from the Super Bowl and the Olympics. So this big February could be pretty big here for that. Getting some love today. Oracle up nicely so far. Credo Technologies, they are up. Ondas up. TerraWolf up about 3.71 on the data centers. So they are moving to the upside. Robinhood's up before earnings tomorrow. So we do see that moving up. That has SoFi up sort of in sympathy play right there. Those two sort of trading together today. We'll see if that continues to be the case. There are, again, a resurgence of some of the mining names as gold regains that $5,000 handle. So we see names like HYMC, Highcroft up about 2.86%. Some other software names like Datadog, GenDX, and others are moving up in front of their earnings this week. Nice little move up by Lamb Weston Holdings here, the French fry company, other food companies, but up about 2.13% here in pre-market trading. PPTA is up about 1.69 also. So we do see some of the non-energy mineral companies are moving up also. As I said on the laggards, most of the Bitcoin adjacent names, and that's more about the huge move to the upside they made on Friday than anything else. You see some of the Chinese names under pressure today. Li Automotive's down 3.53%. Bilibili, the technology company out of China, down about 2.35% there. And those are really most of the laggards so far have been in those sectors we talked about. So we'll see what we get here on the open. Slightly risk off so far, but markets have tried to make a couple of runs to get flat. So we'll see if they can move to the upside as things open up. From a geopolitical side, a lot of the news has been focused on Japan and what's happened there as the prime minister got a vote of confidence in a sweeping election win. So we'll definitely be talking with BigBeat about that this morning and everything else going on. Oh, I see he's already here. We'll get his intro started here and get him into the room.
When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, BigBeat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
BigBeat, how was your weekend, my friend?
Good, man. There was a football game yesterday.
Yeah, didn't go so well. Not really an exciting game either. More importantly, it was sort of a boring game. I didn't see a ton of commercials I loved. It wasn't a lot. Yeah, it wasn't.
No. And considering that there's all this background about the halftime show, and there was all this naughtiness about, what was going to happen and who was going to show up and the celebrities that were there. And what's interesting, we as Americans, we always think of us like, it was the most watched sporting event in the world. It got 65 million views, something like that. Kid Rock got 5 million views. And the football game, the World Soccer game, football, got 750 million views. So, this American exceptionalism that we've been talking about just isn't there, right? It's this box. And over the weekend, I had to have a long thought about the process of the markets. And when I did that, I always boil it down to one thing, Howard, and that's Occam's razor. And that always means that we boil everything away around everything else. It comes down to something that very simple usually, right? And Occam meaning the guy that William of Occam, and razor meaning slicing away of the nonsense. If we peeled all of that away, we boil down to the markets that we have, the views that we have, what we see on the weekends, down to one thing. It still comes down to what excites us. Is it AI that excites us in the markets? And that's what's been pulling us right now into the markets and what we invest in. So that's kind of where my thought process has been lately. And it seems to be the easiest answer to all these nuttiness, craziness things that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, there has been nuttiness and craziness without a doubt for it. AI, I don't know if AI, I mean, yeah, gold and silver has been bringing people to the markets. I mean, it's a tough one there. Recently that's what's get the markets going has been silver and gold, right?
Yeah, and if you think about gold and silver,
everybody in.
If you think about gold and silver, the reason again, Occam's razor, the reason you buy gold and silver is because you think the world's gonna fall apart. You just think that you're hedging, right? You're building a base to protect.
I don't know if people are buying silver. I mean, again, and silver's been a beta trade right now. It hasn't been, the people buying it aren't buying it as a hedge. They're buying it because they think it's going to go 90% every week.
And it's not.
No.
I mean, Occam's razor, right? If you cut it back, you look at the charts on silver over the last, I'm gonna go back 500 years. Silver just doesn't move, right? Gold just doesn't. Oh my God, they gotta have gold because the Chinese are holding gold in their vaults. Well, they've been holding gold. Okay, they got the most gold ever. Yeah, of course, because we build digging out more gold, right? It's not really moving up that much. But if you listen to the talking head, listen to Peter Schiff's of the world. You listen to people that are telling you that it's not true. I mean, the whole theme lately about Bitcoin and crypto is it's all going to fall apart and it's going to go to zero. Financial Times posted an opinion. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is it being the front page of the opinion section is now the front page, and it's all blasted everywhere, right? That the old adages or whatever, they're trying to change a narrative on us. And they're trying, and it's narrative day by day by day is a different narrative. And it's not holding steady because when they can't get the narrative that they want, they're trying to push the narrative into the algos and hoping the algos will push us. And that's what happened the other day in the market. The algos started to pick up that, and when it picked up the leverage and it picked up the liquidity, and there wasn't any liquidity, there was no bidders in the market just slipped out of nothing. And it went back to where the bidders were, then back up the market went. So the common sense that we've been missing is back to Occam's razor. This most simplistic answer is happening right now. And so I think the path of least resistance is to the upside. Now, that's basic on whether or not Trump has another tweet, whether that the Fifth Fleet and Seventh Fleet, and we know there's more drones, but an actual drone, an American drone went into Iran for the first time over the weekend. We know that Iran had a submarine, the first time in history that launched a nuclear weapon in the air. That changed Israel's philosophy and said, wait a minute, this changes things. So when you boil all that down, Howard, it's people are buying gold and silver, and they're buying hedges against their market in the portfolio. But humans aren't really controlling the narrative anymore. It's the machines that are controlling the narrative. They're the ones that have the most liquidity right now. They're the ones, algos. And over the weekend, I can't tell you how many commercials and how many emails I got. Learn quant trading. Learn quant trading. That's silly. I mean, quant trading are machines, and you can. And today, you just go right on your Chat GPT and build your own quant. So that's stupid. What I'm saying to people is get back to basics. Think about what companies are going to be there in the future, right? What companies are going to be making money for us, and I think that's what we need to get to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Steve, you and I have never been a fan of Hims and Hers. We've been a fan of Novo Nordisk, and we're not really a fan of theirs, but at least their products. Big announcement over the weekend. They are going to discontinue trying to steal people's patents. or at least in this case, Novo Nordisk's, after pressure from the FDA. Does this maybe get Novo Nordisk back on even footings? The CEO we know you and I talked about it a couple of weeks ago after their earnings report, that it would be a little bit more of a beatdown before it got better. Is the beatdown done for Novo Nordisk?
Beatdown's done now, and Novo Nordisk CEO is finally growing some pair here now. He's saying to everybody, like, look, and I've said this from the get, Occam's razor. You cannot steal people's patents, folks. I mean, it just can't do it, and you're seeing that everywhere. Right? You're seeing it in stealing art. You're seeing it in stealing music. You're seeing it stealing it in movies. You're seeing it stealing in all kinds of things. And we're going to get back to normal. And I'm going to tell you something. Even the fintech, the financial space, that people are doing these wrong things are going to get caught. And they're going to get nailed for it. And they're going to go to jail for it. And I scream about this all the time. No. Well, the SEC this or the arts department of this, and they're not, nobody's going to bust it. Yes, they are. And they got busted, and they got busted hard, and hims and hers may go under now because they literally go bankrupt because they're going to get sued and they can't afford the amount of money. And look, there's Zeppetide, the mixture is not that crazy hard, right? But when you take multi-millions of dollars to make a drug, to find that actual one that all these problems,
right, getting the right ingredients and the right combination that it works.
That's right. That's the part of the problem. And yeah, anybody can copy it. We know that. We can copy it out and throw it into a machine and boom it. Oh yeah, this is this part, that part, this. Well, you can't just copy it and go sell it for your own thing. And go hire some media spokesperson in the celebrity to go, because they're going to go down with you, right? So, I look at all these things that are happening. It's starting to get back to reality. You're starting to see politics get back to reality. You're starting to see people just going, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right to me. Nope, I'm not going to support that anymore. And you're seeing that almost everywhere now. And as I'm saying, Occam's razor is the thing I thought about all weekend. The simplest thing is we're going to get back to simple terms again very quickly. And I think we already are. In simple terms of AI, how do I invest in AI? Well, it's back to normal. I watched a little show this morning. I didn't agree with anything they were saying, but they were talking about healthcare versus financials, right? And what's the bigger turn? And we're getting older. Of course, healthcare is going to get bigger. Yes, I understand there's insurance problems. Yes, we understand that. Yes, but biotech is going to get hot, right? And biotech doesn't move.
There's a difference between, I think that's where people are missing too. What you just said there is important. The difference between biotech and healthcare.
That's right.
Healthcare is under immense pressure and because of the United States, and that isn't going to change. Medicare is going to, that stuff's only going to get tougher for them. Both sides of the aisle realize they have to do stuff to lower healthcare costs.
And for those of you out there listening right now, Howard nailed that. Exactly what I was going to say. There is a difference, right? Biotech still has to make drugs, and the companies like UNH and Molina have to dispense it to the people, right? And then there's a separation between there. The FDA has to approve that drug. So get to know the FDA if you're going to get into that world. And you got to understand insurance if you're going to get into that world, right? So it's literally back to basics. And I think so many people are trying to outthink the markets. If you just think about the thesis that you're trying to create, you're doing very well in this market. I'm up 65%. Why? Even with a down pop, I'm up. Why? Back to basics. Howard and I have been talking about this. I had Steve Flanagan on here. We've had Peter Thomas. We've all talked about the Japanese market. Why? We were there 4 months ago. Japan being up as much as it is at the high, way above where the U.S. markets are. Why? Because we knew where the politics was going. So we moved money into international money already. That's common sense that I said on Schwab on Friday. We're missing common sense and back to reality. If we get back to those, Howard, I think the markets will push higher. The president said, well, we're going to 100,000 by the end of my term. First of all, no one can say that because we don't know. It could be 100,000 tomorrow, and it could be 2,000 tomorrow. We don't know, right? That's just not. I mean, my crystal ball's broken. I'm sorry, but if you think about his policies, get back to basics and think about where the market's going. Is it going to be there? So he wants to continue the tariff path. Doesn't make sense to me, but It may work if it gets the other countries involved, and the other countries are saying no to him. How do I know that? Because the Board of Peace is not getting signups. Sign-up slips are not happening over there in the Board of Peace. Okay, he's not getting that. Is NATO backing him? No. Is Europe backing him? No. JD Vance got booed at the Olympics. So we know where their thought processes are. So if we get back to now, if we go to isolationism policies again, name me the 3 times in our country's history when isolationism worked. Yeah, never. So when I look at these things, let's get back to the basics, right? And see what's happening. And you're absolutely right, Howard. Biotech is going to be the big picture. Healthcare might not be. So these things are exactly what's been on my mind almost all weekend. And I think that we're going to get back to that.
Okay, absolutely. That would be good. Steve, you mentioned getting back to it or back to normal. What's your take on Apollo? You know, all those companies took a huge hit last week. They had earnings today. Their earnings came in really well, $2.47 a share versus estimates of $2.04. Fee-related revenue increased 30% from last year to $1.24 billion. Deal origination activity looked good. Did maybe people overthink the fact that they have too much private credit out to the software companies, or do you think this is just a blip to the upside and we should be looking beyond their earnings to that bigger issue?
JP Morgan in January asked all 300,000 employees to come back to work, back to the office. 4 places around the world so far have said no to him and are saying they're signing petitions that don't want to go back to work.
Back to the office.
Back to the office. I should say back to the office, yeah. Loans in the credit markets for big buildings. So I'm going to talk about CBRE. I'm talking about Jones Lang LaSalle. Major corporations that have office space is at the lowest in history. We're talking about lower than COVID right now. Payments on their monthlies. No, I don't think Apollo is going to do very well. No, I don't. I think some of these companies may go bankrupt. They may find ways of getting it. They may get some interesting credit ways of getting back to normal. Insurance bankruptcy spreads, maybe. But no, I would not be investing in commercial real estate right now. And because of that, one of the things you can look at, and you'll always hear Michael Litt talk about it, and this is Castle Systems. So if you look at Castle Systems on your charts, that is one that tells me a lot. And what does Castle Systems do? They are the ID of people to go in buildings. All right. Now, Howard, I know the owner really well, actually. He owns the tennis in DC.
DC, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And he's always done very well. But those numbers are also very, very low right now. So people are not going back to work. They are, and I say back to the office.
Back to the office, right?
Yeah. As much. Some of them are 3 days a week, 2 days a week. We're going to get down to it. And the president and many people are wanting to go to 4 day a week, which I don't disagree with. I'm not going to, if we can get as much done with AI at 4 days than we can, I'm okay with that too. Increase the hours, but yes. All of a sudden, I don't have a very rosy picture of companies like Apollo, CBRE, Jones Lang LaSalle. And they're probably trying to offload some of those buildings. And the biggest owner of office buildings in the country, and I think possibly the world, is what? The U.S. government. And they are definitely offloading buildings. So now you've got a plethora of buildings that are sitting empty. And guess what? They sit empty and they go dilapidated, and there's bigger problems, and then there's problems with electricity, there's problems with water. It becomes an even bigger problem. So right now, no, I don't. I think that again, Occam's razor tells me that this is a major problem. So no, you're absolutely right, Howard. I don't like those kind of companies right now.
Okay. With that being said, you like the market, you said, for path of least resistance to the upside. You haven't liked many companies that I've tried to bring up. Well, who are you liking then? What are you looking at today there, Steve?
I still think, and I heard over the weekend too. Jay Wood said the same thing. AI is still hot. I think AI is still hot. I think the pickaxe and shovels, and you're seeing the amount of money. Look, the amount of money that companies are not spending on office space, they're spending it specifically on AI. The money that they're saving by not hiring new employees in college, which we see now is the worst hiring time for college students in history. They're spending on an AI. So those numbers are going up and energy costs are going up, right? So all of those things are still, Meta is spending gobs of money on it. I heard the other day somebody said, well, Google's spending more money. Guess what? Gemini came out with a new product.
Right.
All of a sudden, a new thing, right? That's going to become an almost daily existence now to us. Oh, this company, this AI has a new product out. I mean, if you look at, and I joking, we all laugh about it, but if you look at the commercial about Will Smith eating spaghetti in 2022 and Will Smith's eating spaghetti in 2026, it's a movie compared to the cartoon that came out, right? I mean, AI has moved that fast. 5 years from now, with gobs of money they're throwing at it right now, AI is going to get so good. Movies will be only built in AI. Amazon's already told you that. A third of their movies right now on production are being AI. And people go, well, God, I don't want to watch a movie AI. You watch a movie in CGI.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. All the new Star Wars movie, the new commercial. I can't wait for the Star Wars. I'm excited. Probably none of that is it's almost all AI. Oh my God, seeing 6 Tauntauns pulling like a Budweiser truck was hilarious. I thought it was awesome, right? And you know what? That's definitely not real. I do not believe in Tauntauns are real. I'm sorry. Okay.
What? Steve, you brought that up. Meta's commercials I thought were pretty good last night. I thought they did a decent job with their wearables and pushing that narrative more and more that you've talked about. So let's see if that gets them moving here this morning. As I step away here, Steve, are you thinking we rebound and go green here today, or what do you think we get?
I think the question mark has to be around everybody's concerned about the end of the week and what inflation numbers, workers' numbers are, unemployment numbers. Again, we're getting back to the basics. We're also getting to the point where Kevin Warsh is being a little bit louder now out there, and that question mark is getting really, really strong of whether or not he can be past the Senate. And I don't think that he can. And that will throw the whole thing that we're working on right now, the narrative about rate cuts into a spiral. So no, I don't think so. I think we're gonna see a sideways week is what I think, until we get some Occam's razor, until we get some clarity about what's going to happen. Because again, the Fed has been saying data dependent, and there's no data. We already seen that now. The data for the jobs aren't coming out now. So it's, God, come on, like, get this stuff together.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to take off and let you take control of the screen here, my friend. Have a great trading day, Quasar. I will see you in the morning.
Yeah, and thank you, Howard. I mean, look, the markets are very interesting to me right now, and seeing this market, you watched it over the weekend where silver pushed again. I had several people, say, "Hey, look at the silver market one more time." Right? Okay, let's look at the silver market. We'll pull it up. Hopefully, you guys can see these charts. I don't see that. I can't screen them a little bit bigger for everybody here. I'll pull these banners down so it can see. There we go. Hopefully I can pull this in just a little tighter for you. One more time. I know we got all kinds of things going on here. Oh, that's a little bit better. I will pull it up just a little tight here so we can see it. But if you look at a 1 minute chart, there we go. It has been rejected so much up here at 82 that I just don't see where there's a lot of buyers up there. In fact, you can see where all the sellers are popping in and they're holding it at this point, right? So I'm not a big fan of silver. I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, we got to have it for silver, but this chart just does not show me does not show me that in any way. And that's what I said. The selling, we killed that, and I'm not seeing a turnaround yet. Now, will it change? Yes, but I don't see it yet. There's a turn here. It's still holding down the RSI. I'm laying off of it. I know that Howard asked about, what am I looking at? This week, Apple will have some of its new products, the MacBook, some of the new products in regards to what we're going to be seeing here in the future for Apple, possibly a new iPad. There we go. You can see a lot of selling here too as well on Apple. So to me, I've got to watch QQQ. And of course, I am still long NVIDIA, down a little bit this morning. I'm still long in Palantir, which looks like I'm up. So it's balancing out. But to me, I'm not really seeing a whole lot. So to me, I'm not too concerned about the markets right now. I really want to see a better picture today. I'm not really buying a whole lot today. I probably won't be making a lot of trades today for this very reason. I don't think that there's the play that everybody out there thinks that there is. We can see that if we're going to keep our eyes on it. I have talked about this, and of course, Amazon being the other one that, there we go. Amazon being the other stock that I've looked at. I do think that AWS is very strong right now, the cloud. I've talked about that. I talked about it on Schwab on Friday. If you got a chance to watch it on Schwab, appreciate that. And of course, Howard talking about Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, and Novo being up 5%, but it just can't all hold either up there too as well. I do like it, and I think I'm glad to see the CEO doing what he needed to do to protect his company, because they were getting beaten up over it. And you can see, if you really want to look at Novo Nordisk as a play, even after this 5% run today, I think it was up even more than that this morning. 40, yeah, of course. That it could get back up there when we started to see it moving up with the weight loss drugs back to 140. So you've got somewhere around 80 to 90 a run back. That's a good jump, right? The problem is you've got a lot of sellers in here at 60. So it could be a nice little run. I want to see a turn here on the daily, on the 1 hour chart. But of course, the 3 hour, why again, Wall Street has told you a few days ago that the turn was coming. So someone knew something on the 3 hour chart. So when Novo Nordisk started to make that play, that's where we're at. So if there's any stocks that you guys want to look at, let me know. I'm happy to look at those too as well. Right now, I'm looking at Bitcoin. We saw it pop right before the Super Bowl, and right back down she went. So we know that there's some sellers. We know this is where the buyers are. So the buyers are holding it up here. There's where it should get back to, somewhere around 70 today and 72. So it's going to hold in this range. But you can see linear regression is telling you back up, and you can tell you RSI. You can tell you people are still buying it. I did hear, I did hear that institutions are still buying it. They're telling you, no, sell it, because they want to buy it cheap. Occam's razor. So again, I'm seeing that too as well. Pull up, let's see, anything else I'm looking at right now? Yeah, I think for those of you who know, Friday I was big on, over last week I was big on Snowflake. I thought that drop on Snowflake was definitely a buy. Look at that, 151 to 168. That was a heck of a run. I got out a little bit earlier than that, but I did like that. And of course, most of you know that I liked CoreWeave on that dip, and I missed it. So that was one that I liked too. I'm also thinking CoreWeave might also be a sell there, or it needs to break here if it's going to go higher. So that's why I'm saying today is a break day. We got to keep it quiet. We got to keep our eye on QQQ overall and see what the health of the market is. I don't think the health of the market here is yet, except in certain places. And of course, as Howard asked me earlier today, that's still in AI to me. So I'm looking at AI. Unity software as a service, SaaS are hurting now, because we know we don't need developers anymore. A year from now, developers will be a thing of the past. I think 2 years at the very most. Amazon told you that. Apple's telling you that now. It'll be managers within the development series. And you can see right here, probably get back about 28.69. I did see a few games over the weekend, but Xbox is telling you that people aren't really playing the games like as much. So there's Microsoft, right? So if I pull up a daily chart of Microsoft, ow, hurting. We saw that, and it hasn't slowed down. But guess what? Over the last couple of days, Microsoft is turning the corner. There it is. Okay. So I do like Microsoft here for play the upside on technical analysis, not on anything that's coming out of the news or anything of that nature. So my narrative on Microsoft has not come out yet. So I don't know. I'm not too excited about that yet. McDonald's 327, it's looking a little bit better. They need another Monopoly game or something here to push it higher, but they might also be seeing the tops here. And of course, Nike. Everybody here knows I like the Nike shoe. I like ASICs better, but I think here in the United States, people are buying the Nikes, but they have a problem. It's the tariffs. It is hurting the company a lot. So, because they make their shoes overseas, right? That's a problem. So Nike, but if you're looking for longer term, they need it. They need something. Oh, well, as I say that, TrendSpider is now saying they like Nike here. So I don't know. Not sure that I agree with that just yet, but we'll see. One of them that I had thought that the bottom was in, and I still think it is AppLovin and APP. Look at this. AppLovin up 8% on Friday and up another 4.3%. So you can see where the buyers were, where the sellers had hit the line and got it, and it bounced off the line. Can you guys see that? If you can't, let me know. Try to make it a little bit bigger for you. Bounced off that line. There's a massive gap here. We know that. So 406 here to about 448. That should fill the gap, and that's where the buyers and the sellers are up there. And you can see where there's a little bit more sellers up in here. So this thing could go all the way. Could be. So I kind of like AppLovin here. Again, we don't talk about what the buyers sell here, but all right, we've got about 60 seconds now to the open. I'm going to put it on the cues. We will put it on a 1 second chart so that we can keep our eye on it. And I will try to blow it up. All right. The reason you see me moving around my screen so much is because I have such large screens in front of me. The screen that I have in front of me is a 65-inch. I have massive ones on the sides and they're on top of each of the two here. So it can't see my screen sometimes. It can be an issue. You can see where there's a seller there at 607.85. But here we go. Got 12 seconds now. 5 seconds to the open. All right, we are open, and like I said, not much going on. A little bit, but gosh, man, I'm not really seeing much at all this morning. I also do think that when I talk about it all the time, sports do affect when sports are on TV and the Olympics are on. So the Olympics do affect. Oh no, the Olympics aren't going to affect the markets. Oh yes, it is. Oh yes, it is. It always does. A little bit of selling going on. Yeah. Not really seeing much. Okay, a little bit more selling here going in. I still haven't done anything yet. Still watching the selling going on here. A little bit of buyers coming in. You know what? I do like this Amazon. Slight dip here a little bit. And I do like this. So I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to buy a little bit more Amazon here. Yeah. I like this little bit of drop here. All right. I'm buying a little bit more Amazon down here. Pull up a 1 hour chart here. You can see what I'm thinking here. Bitcoin not even moving a little bit, 68.7 now. Really kind of holding. Q's now popping here. That's what I kind of felt like that was going to happen. Where's this still? Because I even have the Olympics on some of these TVs to see what's playing. Why? A, I love the Olympics, and B, I also feel like people be watching it, especially during moments where the Americans are playing. Yeah, so okay, I picked up more here at 203.81. So there we go, 204.64 now. Yeah, nice big pickup there. And I do think we'll go higher here on the day. May even go green if, yeah, Qs are now pushing higher here a little bit. I think the sellers were in the wrong on that one. Palantir now up 1%, and NVIDIA now also green here too as well. So I do like that too as well. Nice. But I think for me, it's still all about the Qs, the overall market breadth here. And look, I keep the tick up in front of me, tick down to 61. So that's nothing, right? It's very quiet. Let's see if this thing can get, okay, we're trying to go green here now on the Q. So let's see if we can. The big old wick there. It's pretty much a stock picker's market this morning. Palantir up $2 now, and NVIDIA up almost $2 here. So you're starting to see it now. So there's Palantir on that little nice bar up there. And I've said this last week when I bought that I thought I loved that dip. And so we're still there, right? Qs are dripping a little bit. And there's probably a little bit of profit taking, considering that Friday literally was the probably, I think it was one of the best days in a long time. Yeah, now NVIDIA now up 2.3, yeah, $2.35 now, and Palantir now up 2 now as well. Very good. I like this. I like this, folks. This is good. I think Amazon will follow suit here in a little bit. Now, NVIDIA up $3 now. And Bitcoin hasn't moved, 68.6 still. Almost $4 now on NVIDIA. Palantir trying to push a bit here. Palantir now on the highs of the day here. And Bitcoin barely moving. Could be a little profit taking up here. I'm not seeing it yet. Amazon 204.55 now. 204.61. Pull up a 1 minute chart there. It's his turn. Yeah, there we go. There's the turn I'm looking for this morning on Amazon. Should start to move a bit now. You'll make that turn this morning. Should go right back up there where the buyers and sellers are starting to match a bit. Yeah. And the Q's now pushing up here. 69.2 now on Bitcoin is that we are trying to pop there a little bit. Dollar is also pushing a little bit. The Dixie now pushing a little bit here. And the Q's now near the highs of the day now. And the Q's now on the high, just past the highs of the day. There you go. There's the pop I said I'd see in Amazon. We got it. Now do we push higher? Yeah. Palantir now pushing as well. Amazon pushing. So that's what I needed to see. Remember, we need to see the Qs, the overall direction of the market, and but we're still seeing a negative breadth on the market at minus 1,143. So there's still a slight tinge of negativity in the market right now. But look at that. There we go, Amazon. Hello, Amazon. Thank you for that. Liking that a lot. A lot today. Yeah, very nice. But it's going to be quiet. I'm still watching. Looks like the Japanese in pairs just won the golds. And congratulations Team USA for getting the team gold there on figure skating. And the Q's now on the highs of the day. Q still pushing on the highs of the day. 205.01 now on Amazon. Bitcoin 69.1 now. And there it is. NVIDIA now at $4 on the day. And Palantir almost up $4 on the day. Qs are now pumping now. So congrats if you were listening out there. We're making some money today. And that's what I mean when I talked to Howard this morning about it's the path of least resistance is the upside. Now you've had that big sell-off, and now there was a little bit of profit taking this morning. We understand that, but now we're pushing, and they're accumulating right now because there's no news. And usually when there's a quiet market, that's usually a good sign. $206 now on Amazon. What could go pop? What could go green on here on Amazon? Those of you who are paying attention would go with me, right? Yeah. Qs are still trying to push up. Maybe the sellers are trying to. Okay, 68.4 now on Bitcoin. So, I mean 69.4. I'm sorry. And the Qs now on the highs of the day. It's a good day. Still pushing. Now I'm starting to not like this move because I feel like the move was good. Getting back into linear regression. I'm going to take that off of the Amazon that I just bought because now we're only down 1.79%. So okay, So I took those shares off. We ran them about a nice $3 there. And let's take. I see. It's pretty easy when it's path of least resistance was the upside. Get back in the linear regression to the downside. We know the 1 minute chart, and it got right in there, and that's where it was. Now I still have Amazon shares. I was just doubling down to cover, and that's how you make money, folks. Very good day, actually. Whew. All right, Nvidia now $5. Okay, now we're at $5 now, 2.5. Palantir up 3.5. So, I think I'm just going to stick where I'm at right now. Eli Lilly now up 3% here on the day. Microsoft up 2%. Like I said earlier, Oracle up 9% here. AppLove and APP now up 8%. Look at that. That was a nice move. We called that this morning. Remember, I talked about that this morning. How I thought we would get back up into, look at that, into that gap area, and it did. That's when technical analysis matters. That's a master class right there in technical analysis. Look at that. Right to the numbers almost. Gosh. I'll pull up a daily chart. Oh, my. And no line to tell us no. No stopping yes now. Bounced. Look at that bounce. Look at that. That's nice. And Amazon slipping a bit here now. I had a feeling that was the case. Take linear regression. RSI now getting the oversold now on the Amazon. It could push on up, which is fine. So I still own. I just doubled down, as everybody knows. DCA there, dollar cost average, brought it down, picked up a few bucks on it, and still long. I'd like to see Amazon get positive here today. That'd be nice. Silver now back to 81.50 now an ounce. Netflix back down to $80 now a share. And the Qs are starting to still making a high here, but the volume is not as strong as it was. I'd be careful up here on these Qs here, folks. Be careful. Hims and hers now down 26%. Yeah. And Howard and I talked about this earlier today. And no way, Jose. They're in trouble. Price target. Bank of America Securities now lowered the price target for Hims and hers to 21. Wow. I think I probably lowered down to about 15. Nvidia now up $6 on the day here. 191.65. Now we're getting closer to the numbers where I said we would get to, and that's up here at 192.51. So I hate to do this, but folks, I'm going to ring those bells on Nvidia. I know I talked about that on Schwab, but this is too easy money at this point. I am now taking my money off on Nvidia. What a day. What a beautiful day. Now you can see where the buyers and the sellers are not matching up as much here. So this could be getting into the numbers here. I'd like to see it push higher, but I don't know that it's the case. It may struggle here, guys. So listen up here. I'm going to pull the Qs up here. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing. Yeah, there's the sellers starting to pull in now, and there is the 1 minute chart. You can see that, yeah, okay. So it's either going to break out of here or we're going to see some selling here. And Q's got green. Yeah, here's what I thought. Yeah, so here's the sellers. Here reports now that Ghislaine Maxwell now will testify in front of Congress. That'll be must-watch TV. And we are starting to struggle here a little bit on the Qs. Yeah, this is now the second bar here now. Tapping out and a long wick on the back side of this. So we're gonna Dragonfly Doji here in a second. We're gonna be like going woohoo. It could be to the downside. So be very careful. NVIDIA up $7 here, but we are getting very tight on this now, where the buyers and sellers are matching. And if the buyers can't pick this up, this could be an issue here. See what I mean? Remember, the markets are about one thing and one thing only: path of least resistance. Whether that's because of technical analysis, whether that's because of news, what is it telling you? This is where they're saying. So let's see if I'm right on this. Qs are trying to push. I'm not gonna lie, they're trying to push. I just don't see. You can see where the buyers and sellers are here, right, on the volume bars. So I'm not seeing it. Man, the volume is just drying up. 10 minutes down to the top of the hour here. Be careful up here. This could be one of those where they just, I'll go start to pick it up. You can see right here. You see this turn right here. RSI started to float down too. And there you go. 35 years doing this, folks. It's not hard. Look at that. And probably right back to the line. It's like picture pages. That's as hard as it is. It's so easy sometimes, folks, if you just follow the numbers. If you're playing zero DTEs, you crush that one. Now you see this little line right here. They may touch and they may talk to each other. So if they talk to each other, we could hold a, yeah, see, look at these lines. They're making it in there. But there's your sell signal on the 1 minute. So if you're a fast trader, there's like just what I did. This is sell signal right there. But the MACD just dipped below the line. So they may be trying to hold it here, but you know, we're just below the line and there's not much trading going on. So if that's how you were trading, you did crush it here. There it is. Touch the lines. Now let's see if the selling continues. NVIDIA was up about $8, now only up 6. So, yeah. Yeah, we could have a little bit of buying in here now. Let's see if this. Let's see if they hold it here. I don't know the numbers. There's just, you can see here the volume is dropping here, and the buyers and sellers are matching up. So you know this could be like right in the lines here. We know that it's tight. And Amazon now down 2.5. There you go. So we sold it up here, right? DCA down here and took some money off, picked some points up, and we could probably do it again, right? That's why we trade. We trade because we think the price of something isn't right. I do think that the massive support down here at 196. Man, party wants to buy Amazon back here. All right, Qs are turning a little bit here. So we are, I thought it would bounce off that. Yep. So let's pull the Qs back up. We did get the bounce. I'm not seeing it now, folks. And we're not seeing enough volume here in order to make this happen. So, and we know where the sellers are. So there's not enough alpha here. And I don't think you'll see a lot of alpha in the other people. Yeah, I had a feeling that was just, it just can't hold here. I'm not, there's just not enough volume and the buyers and sellers aren't matching up. So I think it's just, yeah. And you're seeing NVIDIA pulling back a little bit. Qs are pulling back. Yeah. So I think they might be getting in those lines here a little bit. Yeah. Qs are trying to push, but I just don't see it. Volume is really drying up this today. You know, 3 minutes now, the top of the hour. Bitcoin now 69.2. Again, same situation that you saw, and you can see where the linear regression is. And we're not back to there, so it should try to get back up there. I know it did did try to get up there. It tested and bounced right back down. So look at that. And the volume is drawing up there too in the crypto space too as well. So not seeing a whole lot right now on both sides. It's quiet. I think they're all waiting on inflation numbers, and wow, NVIDIA only up 3% now, $5 now up, and the Palantir also slipping here. Yeah, Q slipping again here. And that is pretty much what I said earlier today, that we're getting back to normality, or whatever that is for right now. Now that could change with a tweet. It could change with some news. But right now, I think the markets need a break from the nuttiness. Yeah, there you go. See, Unity Software. Talked about that this morning. Look at that, upset almost 8% now. If you just got out of bed, you can probably go back to bed. This is one of the most boring days I think we've seen in a long time. And to be honest with you, I kind of like boring days sometimes. Boring days help you understand direction over the past few days. So if you knew we had the big sell-off, and now you know you had the big pop on Friday, then now you've got the chill out day. So here we are. The Qs are literally down 0.08% on the day, 0.06% on the day. So literally right back about where it was on the close of Friday. So, all right, it is 10 o'clock on the top of the hour, and we made money today. Again and again. Keep hitting singles like that all the time. You won't have to worry about hitting the home runs. Dow down 176 points here. The NASDAQ now barely in the green here. The S&P down 0.08%. So nothing crazy. NASDAQ's fight the green here. All right, for those of us at Quasar Markets Live, we'll see you a little bit later today. We got a few shows to show you today, so we'll see you then. For all of us here, have a good day.